So Putin and Trump have had their conversation about Ukraine. As Trump said before the conversation, he was almost aiming to divide Ukraine up between them. Now, what seems to have transpired is that they went from a 30-day complete ceasefire, from air, land and sea, from all areas of the front, which Zelensky and Ukraine had agreed to a virtual nothing burger. A ceasefire against energy infrastructure only. A specific tiny area of all Russian targets might be stopped if they decide to do that in future. So they'll carry on bombing apartment buildings in residential areas. They'll carry on bombing soldiers across the front as well as civilians. They'll carry on bombing hospitals and schools. But the one thing the Russian leader said they might decide to do, as a favor to Trump, is not bomb energy infrastructure. Now, they have done that before. There's nothing new about that. Every now and then, they might not bomb energy infrastructure one day or 1 week. It's not that they're constantly targeting that anyway. So this is absolutely a nothing burger. It's a meaningless response. And how do they get away with that? How can it be that if the Ukrainians show any pushback against Trump's desire for a ceasefire, they get a shouting match in the Oval Office and a public humiliation? So this raises the fundamental question: how is it that Putin repeatedly and consistently manipulates Trump? He's clearly able to do that. In fact, that is clearly a strong skill set that Putin has, which is manipulating others and getting others to think and respond to him in the way that he wants to. He has been doing this for years, just never as effectively with Donald Trump. Remember George W. Bush? I looked into the man's eyes and saw his soul, that he's a good person. This kind of thing has been happening for years. World leaders have been mistaking Putin for an honest, or at least a rational and fair player from the beginning, but none to the degree that Trump has. So how does Putin do this? Well, aside from whatever he may have on him, whether it's financial or other tapes or whatever, we don't know. We'll never know that, probably. But there does seem to be some evidence coming through of the method of manipulation that Putin uses. Let's say Putin is a master manipulator. That was his training in the KGB. So how does he do it? Now, he certainly does what all other world leaders do, and actually all other colleagues and subordinates of Trump seem to do. They start with flattery. That's pretty much universal. They all do it to him all the time, and Putin is no different.
The president's leadership has been remarkable during this crisis. Mr. President, you make our jobs a lot easier. I want to echo what the Transportation Secretary said about your leadership. Thank you for your leadership and courage on that, sir. I think you make a really important point on that, Mr. President. The president is right. And again, I want to thank you for your leadership, Mr. President.
The next thing they also certainly do is to identify with him. Oh yes, I know, I've had that kind of experience. I'm sure world leaders do this with each other all the time. Oh, you've got an election coming. I know what that's like. I've been in those shoes. Oh, the media are attacking you. I know what that's like. I've been in those shoes. Oh, there's a revolt from members of the public against your policies. Yep, I've been in those shoes too. Oh, your opposition is getting really popular. I've been in those shoes too. I know what that's like. I'm sure that kind of identification happens between political leaders all the time. In fact, they say so. The way that Joe Biden, for example, was able to negotiate with leaders in Iraq and Afghanistan when he was vice president to Obama, because that was a big part of his role then, was by telling them that, look, I know what it's like. I've lost elections too, so have you, and this is how we can rebuild your country, and just relating to them in that way. So I'm sure that Putin does the same. Now, there's something else that he does on top of this, and we got a clue to that during a brief moment in that calamitous conflict in the Oval Office, in which he and J.D. Vance ganged up in the way they did against Zelensky. There's one specific thing he said during that time that gives us a little inkling.
They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff.
Notice he said, we have been through a lot together, as if they're brothers in arms, as if they were soldiers on the same battlefield. This goes beyond mere identification as peers. It's something further than that. What appears to be happening is that Putin is juxtaposing himself onto Trump. Not just identifying with him, but juxtaposing himself onto Trump. And these are the kind of things he's likely to be saying, therefore. Not only do I know how attacked you are all the time, I am also attacked by the same people that you are. We're both in the trenches together. We both love our country. Clearly, we do everything only for the good of our country, and yet they think of us in these terrible ways and they attack us in these disgusting ways, both of us. And those same people look on us in the same way. They both call us liars. They both say that we don't have any honesty in us at all. How dare they say that to both of us, when in truth they are the liars. The only honest men here is the two of us, and yet we're the ones being attacked. No one on this earth takes the kind of shit you and I do. We're brothers. We can understand each other like no one else can. So you see, he enhances Trump's sense of grievance. If Trump has any currency, it's grievance. He stokes Trump's sense of grievance. And he puts himself right there alongside him and says, not only do you have a legitimate grievance, but it's the same grievance that I have with the same people. Putin talks to him almost like he's his brother, he's his twin brother, his doppelganger, and they're in this together. Now, it may be no coincidence that Trump actually lost his own real brother prematurely. There's a terrible and tragic story about that, which Mary Trump describes well in a heartbreaking book about her father's death. Mary Trump, of course, is the daughter of Freddie Trump, who was Trump's brother, who died prematurely at the hands of his father. His father's bullying led directly to his own spiraling and eventual death. And Trump was part of that. And yet there must still be some grief around that, and there is a loss that he no longer has his brother with him. And in some sense, Putin is almost vying to fill that role. That I'm not just another peer, I'm not just another world leader, but I'm somebody who's right next to you, going through the ups and downs with you, in the same way, from the same people. Your world is my world, your community is my community. As Trump said, we've been through a lot together. They tell you, Donald, that you're a threat to democracy. That's what they say to me, these same people. And of course, we genuinely want peace, you and I. And they tell us we're warmongers. They tell us we don't care. But you and I are the only ones who really want peace here, not Zelensky, not these other people. It's us. And yet those same people in the media and all those talking heads and all those politicians in Europe, they tell us that we don't want peace. Only you and I know the truth. So you and I together have to bring about peace. But what we have to do, Donald, is do it one step at a time. And this is how we do it. So reading between the lines, it appears that it's quite possible something like that process is going on. A process of psychological juxtaposition, where Putin almost fuses his psyche with Trump's. Because his boundaries are so thin anyway, he's so thin-skinned, that it is very possible that Putin could almost fuse himself with Trump in a way that enables him to feel not only heard and seen, but connected to and merged with in a way that helps him feel empowered, because the sense of grievance they feel together can then be multiplied, and he certainly uses that as a fuel, as a currency. I will be making more videos about the influence that Putin and Russia have on Trump, because it is a threat not just to US national security, but to global security, and there are implications of this on multiple levels, not just in terms of Ukraine, but in all sorts of ways in terms of America's safety and security and prosperity. And we will look into that in future videos too. Thank you for watching my video. I'm a psychiatrist. I'm also interested in philosophy and public policy and politics. I aim to make a number of videos about these subjects, and particularly the intersection between them. If you're able to like and subscribe to this channel, then it'll really help, and also put in some comments whenever you can. That'll really help the algorithm. It'll really help promote this channel to other people. Now, beyond that, we are all, unfortunately, at the behest of a very small number of people who seem to run everything these days. And we are all at the whim of a tech oligarch who could decide tomorrow to end a channel like this because it's not in their favor. And because of that, I've set up a kind of email newsletter, which you can subscribe to. At the top of the channel, you'll see a web address. Please go there and subscribe to my newsletter. That way you can stay in touch with the videos I'm making. At least we can keep the content flowing. So I hope you can do that. And I hope we can keep talking and also gain clarity, not just about what's happening right now, but how we can get through this, how we can improve things to make a better tomorrow together. Thank you.